If you read up on mint, it's an ancient medicine, really. Anything with that kind of flavor and that tenacity to grow as it does should be paid attention to. My name is Christian Grigoroskos. I'm one of the coordinators in this garden, and the project is called Collard City Growers. It's in north central Troy. It's affiliated with the Sanctuary for Independent Media. So originally, the person who had the idea to reclaim the space just wanted a place for the kids to hang out, the local kids to hang out in the summertime and do some gardening. And because of the amount of vacant land available, that sort of snowballed into acquiring 5 of these vacant lots, and we converted them over the last almost 6 years now to productive growing spaces. And we're sitting in this, I call it like a fledgling ecosystem. We've just started to really educate ourselves while hosting workshops to educate members of the community and anybody who's interested in what plants do well, how to grow plants, teaching some level of self-reliance. So we get people from all over, young and old, whether they live right around here or they're in town because they go to school here or they're just passing through. People really enjoy the fruit, and that's what's sort of given us the motivation to just keep progressing in fruit cultivation, which is good because it's low output. And once we started to notice the amount of interest there was in fruit and berries and the way kids like just a fistful of raspberries or a fresh apple, there's no convincing people to try and eat fruit. Collard greens and kale, and zucchini, you kind of have to convince them and say, come on, taste it. But when somebody sees a fruit, they know what they're in for. So we've been focusing a lot on these tree crops and perennial crops, such as raspberries and gooseberries, elderberries, grapes. We have a hardy kiwi corner going on, which is a variety of kiwi fruit that is good in this climate and is really nutritious. And that's a lot of what we focus on too, is just creating a healthy ecosystem will, as a correlation, create healthy people who interact with it. It's not just what you're able to consume from it, but the interactions and the observations you make sort of trigger these other pathways and thinking about health in a more holistic manner. The one thing we've noticed is that the children really love hanging out here. When we're here, the kids see us here and they come running and they're really curious, and you can tell them to taste things and smell things. And that, for me personally, keeps me motivated, right? Especially seeing him grow up and seeing all the things he can see and identify, and all the bugs especially, right? You like digging all the worms up, seeing all the different spiders that come here. And initially, that's why this project was started, was for children to have a place to hang out. And that's what we're brainstorming more and more, is like how to make a children-specific garden and come up with programming specific for children. Mint is a plant that I think has more of a bad reputation in the gardening world because it tends to take over. And plants that take over are what we like, because they fill up space and they keep weeds at bay. And then, if you read up on mint, it's an ancient medicine, really. Anything with that kind of flavor and that tenacity to grow as it does should be paid attention to, in my opinion. Plants like mint and the different varieties, like the chocolate mint, and then there are like this fuzzy kind that we got. That's sort of more catnippy. They have all these different varieties with these subtle differences that are really enjoyable. So aromatic plants play a huge part in the insect world. So we want aromatic plants to support a host of insects because they prey on other bugs that might be eating things or doing damage to things that we want to keep alive. So the more of these elements that we have in the garden, the healthier it'll be and the more self-maintaining it'll be. And that's ultimately what we're going towards. I would say that mint is one of them, and it serves a function besides being a healthful herb that we can use in a myriad of ways. In our current culture, as a general statement, there's a severe decline in ecological literacy. Knowing and being aware of seasons and plants and animals and the effects of the wind and the rain, and that soil is very alive, leads you down all these other paths that you can compound on. And that facilitates some sort of care, I think, and that's ultimately what we want. Is we want humans that are caring for the environment around them, because when you care for your surroundings, you're essentially providing a level of human care as well. Those are sort of a couple of the guiding principles of permaculture that are our motivation, in that earth care and people care are paramount to approaching any system, so that when you care for the earth, you're caring for the people, and vice versa, right? They're inseparable, right, MB?